Hello, welcome back to Just Silla. Okay, so the weather is turning for us here where we're located, and we are starting to think a lot about, closing up. Halloween is coming, Thanksgiving is coming, Christmas is coming. The sun is going down. Vitamin D is a big deal right now. So what can you do to just feel a little happier? Well, you can work on the home front. We are talking about love today. We are talking about love languages. There's a book by Dr. Gary Chapman that changed me and my partner's life because we realized that we didn't really understand each other's love languages. So we're talking about that today, and I have Diane Kline, our writer, journalist. I love chatting with her because we really get real. Diane, we're about to go in.
Very good. Well, first of all, I'm thrilled to be here, and I agree with you that it's getting colder out, so everyone's going to start burrowing inside, and we want those love relationships to be good. So I have read Love Languages multiple times, the book, and I think it's great. I'm a big believer in it.
It's really changed how I saw things, because when it comes to love, you look at things that you do for your partner. But before we go into it, let me list the love languages for you. Perfect. And I'm sure they'll resonate in some capacity in your own love life. So there's gifts or tokens of affection. That's number 1. 2, quality time together. 3, physical touch. 4, words of affirmation. 5, acts of service.
Perfect. And in my relationship, in my marriage, I am definitely my love language is acts of service. When my husband does anything for me, whether it's fill my car with gas, or I might mention, I'm really interested in reading such and such a book, and then he comes home from the library and he's ordered it for me and he's picked it up. That to me means he's listening, he cares about what's important to me. And so that's really important to me, is those acts of service. What about you in your relationship? What is your love language?
It was actually interesting because last night I went through it with my partner because I was trying to refresh all of it. And it was very interesting what he thought my love language was and what it really was.
Oh, yeah.
And he thinks he does all 5. And I'm like, no, you don't. So it was such a refresher for me to sit down and say what my love language is, not what my partner thinks my love language is.
Exactly.
And we'll get into that a little bit.
Yeah.
But my love language is quality time together.
And what does that mean exactly? Like, how much time is quality time?
So I don't need quantity time.
Okay.
We don't have to be on the couch all day together. But I like going to events together. I like to do things together. I like to dine together. It can just be a couple of hours. It doesn't have to be a whole day. So I'm not trying to have all your time. I just want us to have couple time.
Yeah. That's really important too.
Yes, and sometimes it's just vegging in front of the TV together for a couple of hours. That's important for me.
And isn't it amazing that after your love language has been satisfied at that moment, just how good you feel?
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, okay, I feel good. Now, what is Donald's love language?
Donald's love language, he's a guy, of course. So I would say the first one is physical touch.
But that doesn't necessarily mean sex, does it?
Well, it doesn't. It's, I think men in general like to have physical touch.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, once you have some sort of physical touch, you feel more connected. You feel like you're on the same page. Yeah. And so sometimes when things are feeling a little weird, and then you have that physical touch in whatever capacity you're in the moment, it might just be holding hands and walking or whatever it is. You feel a connection with each other. That it closes the distance between you.
I love that. Yeah. And also those are things you don't do with other people. That, you don't hold hands walking with anyone else except your loved ones. So it's nice. This is special. I get that completely.
Yes.
Okay. Well, and I think my husband, whose name is Kit's love language is definitely physical And I think just time together spent also, because he's the one, he'll say, oh, I'll drive you to the store, or I'll drive you to your doctor's appointment. Or I think and I love that because it's an act of service. And for him, I think it's time spent together that we're and I also think in the car is the best time together, because you talk in ways you don't talk at home, because you're not looking at each other, so you can say things.
That's very true. Acts of service is important to me. It's as simple as waking up and finding the gas is filled when I jump in the car.
In our marriage vows,
Yes.
we actually included some acts of service.
Really?
We each wrote our own vows. And in Kit's vows, I have to say this is very goofy, but I love it. He brings me my pajamas at night to put on. And he put it in his marriage vows that he would always bring me my pajamas.
Oh, that is so wonderful.
Isn't that sweet?
That
I know.
is so wonderful. I think I'm lucky because one area that we are on the same page with Donald is acts of service. He loves to serve you.
Yeah.
It's just what he does best. And I didn't even realize how important it was for me until I ended up with somebody who enjoys acts of service.
And you didn't have to ask.
Where the hell has this been my whole life?
But part of it, too, is talking about what that means to you. So there may be acts of service that they think sometimes. What I think is amazing in a relationship, if you talk to the man and the woman, both of them think they are giving, much more than they're getting. I'm always giving. But if it's not giving in something that's meaningful, the other person doesn't see it as giving, and that's part of it. And you were talking about the coffee situation.
Oh, yes.
So tell us about that.
So Donald makes me coffee every morning.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. He enjoys it. You can see the joy when he's bringing it to me because he's doing something for me.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it sometimes because I love Starbucks.
Yeah.
But he does refill my Starbucks card, because
Right.
he's an acts of service kind of man. But to just be able to say, baby, can I just get Starbucks today? This happened to us this week, and I think his feelings were hurt.
Yeah.
But I also think he heard me, especially after we had the refresher of acts of love.
Right.
So it's really is a reminder that it's not what you're doing for somebody, it's what they are wanting to receive.
Well, I heard about a couple who got divorced, and one of the things on the divorce table was the wife was a stay-at-home mom, and she made these elaborate dinners every single night, 3 courses and sauces and meats and everything. And she said, I make these elaborate dinners every night, and he never appreciates it. And he said, I just want a sandwich. I don't want a big heavy meal when I come home. So here they wanted such different things, and they'd never talked about it, which is so crazy. And what you want and what someone else is doing for you may not be the same thing.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm with a partner who loves to cook, but he doesn't like to clean. So his cooking is acts of service. And I'm not receiving it the way I should because I'm thinking everything is going to be out and I have to come and I'm tired. Right. So it was something we had to discuss in therapy to negotiate because your partner says, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this, and you are never appreciative and trying. Right. But the whole point of acts of love is to understand that it's not about you and what you're doing. It's not about you. It's not about your ego. It's what is important for your partner.
Right, exactly. And you said a great word there, which was negotiate. And I've heard this on Dr. Phil. He talks about relationships are negotiations. And I like that word better than compromise, because in compromise, you think you're giving something up. But we negotiate all the time at work with, when you buy a car, we understand negotiation is necessary and it's okay. You don't feel bad about negotiating. You feel smart about negotiating. So I think that you're negotiating about, is he going to make a big meal or not, and what you're going to do, what you need and what you want. And negotiating.
And you constantly have to go back to the table and remind each other.
Yes.
I'm sure you've had it where your partner thinks he's doing everything and you feel like your needs are not being met.
Well, here's an example. Kit will bring home flowers to me, and honest to gosh, they just don't mean anything. I like flowers, but I like orchids because orchids last and they're beautiful. And he'll bring home roses, and my immediate reaction is, I don't want roses. Now, I know that's why I don't say it. I always say, oh, that's so nice, thinking, I've told you orchids, 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 orchids.
Yeah.
But why haven't I nicely sat down and said, sweetie, it's so kind of you to think of that, but that's not my thing. But I know other women would die to have.
I love flowers.
Yeah, die to have flowers.
Tokens of affection, for me, they're not really important. I don't need huge displays of extravagance.
Yeah.
The one thing that means a lot to me is flowers.
You love flowers.
Flowers make me happy. Yeah. And if you follow me on Facebook, you see me post flowers all the time. So that's something that makes me happy. So tokens of affection, it doesn't mean you're always wanting to receive stuff. It's how something makes you feel. It's about the feeling of it.
It is. Okay, now let's talk about words of affirmation. We haven't touched on that one yet.
Yes.
And words of affirmation to me are things like I love you, or thank you so much for doing this for me, or what does it mean to you, words of affirmation? What do you think those are?
Again, I didn't realize how important they are, because I think in most of my life, I feel like I'm a tech charge, so I'm always trying to solve everybody's stuff.
Yeah.
And so it was only when I started receiving the words of affirmation that I felt like I needed it.
Yeah.
So my partner is very good at letting me know, you can do it. You are beautiful. He tells me I'm beautiful so many times in a week.
Oh.
And yes. And so that makes me get over some insecurities that I have. Women, we have all kinds of insecurities. I love you. I can see that he does through his acts of service. But he's really good at words of affirmation.
Yeah.
I can be better because I assume, you already know that I love you.
Yeah.
You already know that I think you're hot, all these things, but they need to hear it.
And words of affirmation also, I think I've started being much better at saying I appreciate something that's obvious. Like if we need a new furnace right now, and he's taking care of getting all the bids. And I just said, I appreciate so much that you're taking all this time to do it, and you're figuring out what needs to be done. I just really appreciate that. I appreciate you. Just I think that's really important. But it has to be important to the other person for it to be their love language. But I do want to say about feeling beautiful, if any men are listening out there, the number one thing you need to tell the woman in your life multiple times during the week is she's beautiful, because we are so insecure, all of us. Even the most beautiful model is insecure about the way she looks. And it's because society's constantly telling us we're not pretty enough, or this enough, or that enough. And when almost every day when I get dressed to go out, he goes, God, you look really good. And it's just like, oh, okay, thank you. I can go into the world now.
My God, that is so true.
Yeah.
That is so true.
Yeah.
You just taught me something sitting here.
Okay.
My partner, I feel like I say thank you all the time.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And, one of the things we talked about was I do all kinds of stuff. You don't tell me thank you all the time. I make the bed every day. How do you think that gets made? I do this every day. I don't need you to tell me that you thank me, but he needs to hear it. That is an important part for him. He needs that. That's the words of affirmation. He needs to feel like a man and to feel like he's providing and taking care of you.
Yeah.
So,
and that you're noticing.
Wow.
Yes, you've noticed he made the bed. You've noticed he put out my pajamas. Well, that would be him, but because if Donald's putting out my pajamas, we've got bigger problems than love languages. But but you notice that he did something, and you're not taking it for granted.
Oh my God, Diane, you're so right. Because especially if you have somebody who's always doing things for you, it's very easy to just get used to it.
Yes,
And then the fact of the matter is, men want to feel like they are loved. It's very hard to remember that because you think they are strong but you're the one who makes them feel that way.
Ooh. Ooh, yes, because the whole world is designed to bring them down. So
Oh,
anything
yes.
we can do to bring them up is
Yes.
really important. So what would be, if we had to sum up the whole book, what is the takeaway for every person from the book? What's the one thing?
I would say that the biggest takeaway is if you really take the time to look at the love languages and discuss them with your partner to make sure that the things that you're doing or the things that he's doing for you are what you need, it will solve a lot of your communication problems. And of course, we're going to talk about communicating in the next episode, but it solves a lot of issues.
And don't assume.
Don't
assume you're doing what he wants, or don't let him assume he's doing what you want. So
don't assume he's happy.
Yeah.
Don't assume he appreciates something that he doesn't really like you to do anyway. Talk about it.
Right.
So the best place to start are 5 languages. We have them back on the screen, but you can also look them online and take them to your partner, have some really interesting conversations,
Absolutely.
and fall in love through the holidays. See you next time.